The dark silence of space stretched forever. Stars burned like cold fire in the endless night. A single human ship moved slowly across this vast darkness. Its silver hull carried scars of old battles, but it still flew strong. Inside that ship sat Captain Adrian Cole, a man of Earth, staring at the alien world ahead. His face was calm, but his eyes carried weight. He was not here for war, not this time. He was sent as a messenger of peace, but also as a shield of humanity. No one in the galaxy truly knew how powerful humans were. Earth had kept its strength hidden. Now Adrian was stepping into a place where enemies waited in shadows. The planet of Zeridia shone below, a blue-green jewel with rings of silver dust circling it. From above it looked beautiful. From inside it was filled with chaos. Wars had burned its skies and blood had soaked its soil, and yet the palace still stood tall at the center of the capital. That was where Adrian had to go. His ship descended, escorted by alien guards flying strange golden crafts. They did not trust him. He did not trust them. The landing pad was wide, made of shining crystal stone. Hundreds of alien eyes stared at Adrian as he stepped down from his ship. Tall figures with silver skin, glowing eyes, and robes of ancient design surrounded him. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. But one figure stood apart. She was taller than most, her skin glowing faintly under the twin suns, her hair flowing like silver flame. She was the princess of Zeridia, Serenia. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were sharp. She studied Adrian as if she could see through his armor, through his soul. Adrian bowed slightly. He was trained to stay professional, but he felt the weight of her gaze. The palace doors opened and Adrian was led inside. Huge halls of crystal and light stretched endlessly, decorated with symbols of wars long past. Alien leaders sat on high thrones, their voices echoing in strange tones as they spoke about politics, war, and the danger of rebellion. Adrian listened carefully. His mission was simple, to convince them that Earth wanted peace. But he could sense something else here. Something unsaid. Something dangerous. Finally, the High Council asked him to speak. Adrian stood tall, his human uniform shining under the alien lights. "I come from Earth," he said in steady, clear words. "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to enslave. We are here to build peace. But if peace is refused, we will defend ourselves. Choose wisely." The council chamber filled with whispers. Some alien leaders narrowed their glowing eyes. Others leaned forward, curious. But before any of them could respond, a voice cut through the silence. It was soft, clear, and yet sharp like a blade. "You're taking me as your wife?" "Really?" The voice belonged to Princess Serenia. The chamber froze. Adrian blinked, shocked. His heart skipped a beat. The entire hall gasped as one. Alien leaders turned to her in disbelief. Some shouted in protest, others stared in confusion. Serenia's face was calm, but her eyes burned with something deeper. She looked straight at Adrian, waiting for his answer. He could not move. He could not even breathe. He had come here as a messenger, not a husband. Why had she said this? Was this a trap? Or was this something else? The hall broke into chaos. Some leaders cried out in anger, "This is madness. This cannot be allowed. He is human, he is an outsider." Guards stepped forward, weapons ready. Tension thickened like a storm before lightning. Adrian raised his hand slowly. He had no answer. His mind raced. Why would she claim such a thing? What game was being played here? Serenia stood tall, her voice louder this time, her eyes never leaving Adrian. "Yes, if this human takes me as his wife, no rebellion can challenge our alliance. No warlord can attack. No blood will be spilled. His people will be bound to ours by law, by tradition, by destiny." Her words silenced the chamber. Adrian felt the weight of hundreds of alien eyes staring at him. His throat was dry. He wanted to speak, but no words came. He had trained for diplomacy, for battle, for survival. But not for this. For the first time, Captain Adrian Cole, the man who had faced enemy fleets, who had stared into the dark of war, felt powerless. The alien princess had placed a chain around his fate with just one question, and he had no idea why. The council began to argue loudly, their voices clashing like thunder. Guards stood ready to strike. Some looked at Adrian with hatred, others with fear. But above all the noise, Adrian could still hear her words echoing in his mind. "You're taking me as your wife." Really? He could not tell if she was mocking him, testing him, or begging him. All he knew was this. His mission had just changed forever. The chamber was still burning with voices. Leaders shouted, guards moved, and the crystal walls seemed to shake with tension. But Captain Adrian Cole's mind was locked only on one figure, Princess Serenia. She stood tall at the center of the storm, her silver hair shining under the alien lights. Her eyes, sharp and unreadable, remained fixed on Adrian. "You're taking me as your wife," she had said, and the galaxy had changed with those words. Adrian forced himself to speak at last. "Princess, I do not understand." His voice was calm, but his heart was pounding inside his chest. The High Council roared in anger. "This is not tradition," shouted one elder, his eyes glowing red. "He is human." "He has no place here," another declared. Serenia raised her hand and the hall fell silent. Even in their fury, the council feared her authority. Her voice was steady. "You all know the truth. The rebels gather their fleets. They wait for a reason to strike. If I marry this man, by law, by blood, they cannot touch our throne. It is the only way to stop war before it begins." The words hit Adrian like fire. He came here to bring peace with words, not marriage vows. Yet the princess had turned the whole game upside down. The council argued again, their voices echoing like thunder. Adrian could feel eyes stabbing into him from every corner of the room. Some were filled with hate, others with fear, and a few with strange curiosity. But what shook him most was Serenia herself. She looked at him not like a stranger, but like someone she had chosen long before he arrived. Finally, the council leader struck his staff against the crystal floor. "This meeting is over. The princess must explain herself in private." Guards moved in, surrounding Adrian. He tensed, ready to fight if needed. But Serenia spoke quickly. "He is under my protection. He will come with me." The guards froze. None dared disobey her. Moments later, Adrian was walking beside Serenia down long, glowing corridors. His boots echoed against the crystal stone. The air was heavy with silence. Finally, he asked the question burning inside him. "Why did you do that? Why did you say I must be your husband?" Serenia did not look at him. Her gaze stayed forward. "Because it is the only way to stop my people from tearing themselves apart. They would never respect peace from a human's mouth. But if you stand at my side, bound by our law, they cannot refuse." Adrian frowned. "You don't even know me. For all you know, I could be your enemy." This time Serenia looked at him. Her glowing eyes were filled with something strange, sadness and also trust. "I know enough. I know your kind has hidden your strength. I know humans are not weak no matter how the galaxy mocks you. And I know that if I do not bind myself to you, my people will die in war." Adrian stopped walking, his fist clenched at his side. "You are asking me to risk my entire world. If I agree, Earth becomes part of your fight. If I refuse, I break your only plan for peace." Her voice softened. "You are not wrong, Captain, but I have no choice. And perhaps, neither do you." Adrian opened his mouth to answer, but then, a sudden flash of light tore through the corridor. A bolt of plasma shot past his head, burning a hole into the wall. "Get down!" Adrian shouted. Serenia moved quickly, her silver hair whipping around as she dropped low. Adrian drew his weapon, his instincts sharp. More plasma bolts rained from the shadows. Figures in black armor rushed from the corners, their weapons glowing. "Assassins," Adrian fired back, his shots hitting 2 attackers instantly. But there were more, too many. They moved like shadows, their blades glowing with strange energy. Serenia whispered urgently, "They are rebels. They want me dead before my plan takes root." Adrian grabbed her hand. "Stay behind me." He fought fiercely, his human reflexes sharper than they expected. But even as he fired, he realized these assassins were not trying to kill him. They wanted the princess. One assassin leaped forward, blade raised. Adrian blocked with his weapon, sparks flying. Another came from the side. He twisted, pulling Serenia close to protect her. "Run!" he shouted. They sprinted through the corridor, turning corner after corner. Plasma bolts scorched the walls behind them. The palace guards were nowhere in sight. Either they had been bribed or the attack was too fast. Finally, Serenia pulled Adrian into a hidden doorway. She pressed her palm against a crystal panel, and a secret door slid open. Inside was a narrow tunnel, dark and cold. "This way," she whispered. They ran through the hidden passage, the sounds of battle fading behind them. Their breaths echoed in the darkness. At last they stopped inside a small chamber lit by a single crystal lamp. Serenia leaned against the wall, her chest rising and falling. Adrian lowered his weapon, his body tense. He looked at her, his voice low. You planned this. You knew someone would try to kill you. Serenia nodded slowly. Yes, the council is divided. Some would rather see me dead than bound to you. Adrian stepped closer. Then tell me the truth. Why me? Why a human? Serenia's voice trembled, but her eyes never left his. Because I cannot trust my own kind, but I can trust you. Before Adrian could answer, a holographic shimmer filled the chamber. A figure cloaked in shadow appeared, its voice cold and sharp. Human, it hissed. Leave this world now or Earth will burn. The hologram vanished. Adrian's blood turned cold. The hidden chamber was silent, but Captain Adrian Cole could still hear the echo of the hologram's threat. Leave this world now or Earth will burn. His jaw tightened. Whoever the shadowed figure was, they had reached inside the palace walls. That meant power, money, and betrayal. Princess Serenia's face was pale in the crystal glow. She whispered, They will not stop. If you stay, they will strike again. If you leave, they will hunt you across the stars. Adrian's hand tightened around his weapon. And if I do nothing, they burn Earth. For the first time since he arrived, he felt truly trapped. Not by chains, but by choices. The tunnel stretched deeper beneath the palace. Serenia led him forward, her steps swift and silent. The air smelled of old stone and forgotten battles. Strange carvings glowed faintly on the walls, marks of her ancestors. These tunnels, she said softly, were built for kings who feared betrayal. Now I walk them for the same reason. Adrian studied her carefully. She was calm, but her eyes betrayed the weight she carried. This was no spoiled royal. This was someone born into danger, someone forced to gamble everything. You risked your life when you spoke in the council. Adrian said at last, Why me? Why trust a stranger? Serenia's voice was steady. Because humans are not part of our corruption. You are outside our chains. My people would kill me to keep their power, but they cannot control you. Adrian shook his head. Or maybe you think you can control me. For a moment, silence. Then to his surprise, Serenia smiled faintly. If that were true, Captain, you would already be on your knees. No, I do not want control. I want survival. Before Adrian could answer, a sharp sound cut through the tunnel. A faint hum, like a blade dragging across stone. Serenia froze. Her hand touched his arm. They've found us. From the darkness ahead, shapes appeared. Shadows bending and shifting, cloaked figures with glowing knives. Their eyes burned like fireflies in the gloom. Assassins again. Adrian raised his weapon. Stay close, the first attacker lunged. Adrian fired, the plasma blast echoing in the stone halls. The body fell, but two more replaced it. The tunnel filled with sparks and shouts. Serenia pressed her palm to another crystal panel. A door opened, revealing a narrow spiral stair. This way? They climbed quickly, the assassins chasing below. Adrian turned several times to fire, his shots striking stone and shadow. Finally, they burst into a forgotten hall of the palace, dusty and abandoned. Broken banners of past rulers hung like ghosts from the ceiling. Adrian's chest heaved. You keep a lot of secrets in this palace. Serenia met his gaze. Secrets are the only reason I'm still alive. But even here, the danger was not gone. The shadows followed. Adrian could hear them moving in the distance, whispering in alien tongues. He looked at Serenia. If they want peace destroyed so badly, then your enemies are more powerful than you told me. Her voice lowered. They are not only my enemies. They are part of the council itself. They smile in the chamber and send knives in the dark. Adrian's stomach turned. That meant this was not just rebellion. This was treachery at the highest level. They don't just want you dead, he said slowly. They want Earth dragged into the fire. That's why they threatened my home. Serenia's eyes widened slightly. Then they know your world holds power. They fear it. Adrian realized something else. If the rebels knew Earth's secrets, someone had already betrayed his people. Someone, somewhere, had spoken of humanity's hidden strength. A noise broke his thoughts. A faint shimmer in the air like rippling water. Adrian turned fast, weapon ready. Out of the shadows stepped a hooded figure. But this one did not attack. Instead, the figure dropped to one knee before Serenia. My princess, the stranger whispered. I was sent to guide you. There is no safety in the palace now. Adrian did not lower his weapon. His voice was sharp. And why should we trust you? The hooded figure lifted their face just enough to show silver eyes. Because if you stay here, you will both die before sunrise. Serenia looked torn but then nodded. He is right. The palace is lost. We must escape. Adrian's grip tightened on his weapon. Escape where? The hooded figure leaned closer, voice like a hiss of air. To the catacombs. To the forgotten city beneath our world. There you will find the truth. And the blade that can decide who rules this planet. Adrian's mind raced. Truth? A blade? This was turning from diplomacy into a war of shadows and secrets. He looked at Serenia. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. For the first time, he saw not just a princess, but someone caught in a trap larger than both of them. Captain, she whispered, if you wish to leave, you should leave now. But if you follow me into the catacombs, there is no turning back. Adrian stared into the dark tunnel ahead. Shadows moved, whispers grew louder. The assassins were closing in again. He tightened his jaw, raising his weapon. Lead the way, princess. I'm not leaving you to face this alone. As they moved deeper into the palace shadows, Adrian felt the weight of earth behind him and the pull of destiny ahead. But then, another sound reached them. Not whispers, not footsteps. It was the thunder of engines. Adrian and Serenia rushed to a high balcony overlooking the capital. His heart froze. Above the city, in the black sky, hundreds of rebel ships appeared, their lights burning like a swarm of red stars. The war had come early. The sky above the capital burned red. Hundreds of rebel ships broke through the clouds, their engines roaring like thunder. The people below screamed as shadows of war spread across the city. Captain Adrian Cole gripped the balcony railing, his eyes fixed on the swarm of ships. His heart was steady, but he knew the truth. This was no show of strength. This was the beginning of war. Beside him, Princess Serenia stood tall. Her silver hair whipped in the hot wind, her glowing eyes sharp with anger. They came sooner than I feared, she whispered. They want to crush us before my words can take root. The hooded figure who had led them into the forgotten halls stepped forward. His voice was low but urgent. The palace cannot hold against that fleet. If you stay, you die. The catacombs are your only chance. Adrian turned to Serenia. If they destroy the capital, your throne is lost. Serenia's jaw tightened. Not if I still live. Not if I still fight. Adrian's respect for her grew in that moment. She was no coward. She would rather die standing than kneel before rebels. But he also knew that survival was more important than pride. The hooded guide led them through narrow stone corridors deep beneath the palace. Dust and shadows filled the air, the walls etched with forgotten writing. The tunnels twisted like a maze built by rulers long dead. As they descended, the roar of engines above faded into a distant hum. Adrian broke the silence. What is this blade you spoke of? The hooded man stopped. His glowing eyes flickered in the dark. It is not a weapon of steel. It is older, sharper, a symbol of kings. Whoever holds it is bound by law to rule this planet. The rebels fear it. That is why they seek to bury it forever. Serenia's eyes widened. The crown blade? I thought it was only legend. The hooded man shook his head. Legends are born from truth. Adrian frowned. So you expect us to walk into forgotten ruins, pick up this blade, and end a war? The guide's voice was calm. Not you, human, her. Only royal blood can claim it. But you must protect her until she does. Adrian clenched his weapon tighter. This mission was turning into something far larger than Earth's orders. As they moved deeper, the tunnels opened into vast caverns. Crystal roots glowed from the ceilings, lighting the darkness with pale fire. The ground was uneven, carved by rivers long dry. Strange statues stood along the walls, their faces broken and hollow. Serenia slowed, her fingers brushing one of the statues. These are my ancestors. Once they ruled with honor. Now their names are forgotten. If I fall, so will my people. Adrian stepped closer. You won't fall. Not while I'm here. Their eyes met in the cold light. For a moment, the war above felt far away. But then, a deep rumble shook the cavern. Dust fell from the ceiling. From the shadows ahead, a metallic roar echoed. Adrian raised his weapon. What was that? The hooded figure's face darkened. The rebels are not fools. They sent machines to guard these tunnels. Out of the darkness, glowing shapes crawled forward, mechanical beasts of war, their bodies covered in blades, their eyes burning with red fire. Serenia whispered, They brought war machines into the catacombs? Adrian cursed under his breath. Stay back, the machines charged. Their claws scraped stone, their metal jaws snapping. Adrian fired shot after shot, the blast sparking against steel armor. One machine fell, but two more leaped forward. Adrian rolled aside, pulling Serenia with him. Sparks rained as claws struck the ground where they had stood. The hooded guide raised his staff, sending out a pulse of energy that shook the machines, but it only slowed them for seconds. "Run!" Adrian shouted. They sprinted across the cavern floor, the machines chasing with unrelenting fury. At the far end, a massive stone door waited. Ancient carvings glowed faintly, shaped like a crown and a blade. Serenia ran to it, pressing her hands against the stone. "It's sealed." "It only opens for royal blood." The machines closed in. Adrian turned, firing with deadly precision. One fell with its chest burning, but another leapt, slamming him to the ground. Its claws sliced across his armor, sparks flying. Adrian gritted his teeth, forcing the weapon against the machine's head and blasting it apart. Shards of metal cut his arm, blood spilling. Serenia cried out, "Adrian!" "I'm fine," he growled, forcing himself up. But his strength was fading. The last machine charged straight for Serenia. She pressed harder against the stone. "Open, open!" The carvings glowed brighter, answering her bloodline. The stone rumbled, splitting down the middle. A shaft of white light burst from within, blinding the cavern. The machine froze, caught in the glow. Its armor cracked, its body turning to ash under the ancient power. The stone doors slid open, revealing a great hall filled with light. At the center stood a pedestal, and on it, a long blade of crystal and silver, glowing with fire from within, the crown blade. Serenia stepped forward, her breath trembling. Adrian staggered beside her, blood dripping down his arm. His voice was hoarse but steady. "This is what they fear, Princess. Take it." Serenia reached out, her fingers brushing the hilt. The blade pulsed like a heartbeat, as if recognizing her touch. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice firm. "With this, the war ends." But before she could lift it, a blast shook the chamber. The ceiling cracked. Rebel soldiers stormed into the cavern, weapons raised, their leader stepping forward with a cruel smile. "You will not leave this place alive." The cavern shook with gunfire. Rebel soldiers stormed forward, their weapons flashing red. Captain Adrian Cole lifted his blaster with one hand, though his other arm still bled. His shots rang sharp, striking the stone walls and sending sparks across the sacred hall. Princess Serenia stood at the pedestal, her fingers locked around the glowing hilt of the crown blade. She pulled, her strength straining, but the ancient weapon did not move. The blade pulsed faintly, as if testing her, waiting. The rebel leader stepped into the light. His armor gleamed black, his eyes glowing with hate. His voice cut through the chaos. "You think a human can save you, Serenia? You shame your blood. The throne will burn, and your so-called ally will die beside you." Adrian fired again, forcing the rebels back for a moment. His teeth clenched. "We don't have time for speeches." But Serenia's eyes stayed on the blade. She whispered to herself, her voice trembling. "Why won't you accept me? Am I not worthy?" The crown blade gave no answer. The rebels closed in. The hooded guide struck the ground with his staff, releasing a burst of energy that threw several enemies back. But there were too many, Princess. Adrian shouted. "We can't win this fight. We need another way." Serenia turned to him. Her eyes burned with sudden resolve. "There is another way, but it will cost you." Before Adrian could ask, she stepped away from the blade and pressed her hand against a glowing seal in the wall. The light shifted, revealing a hidden stair leading upward. "Come," she commanded. They fled through the stairs, the rebels poured into the hall. The last thing Adrian saw before the stone door sealed shut was the crown blade glowing brighter, as if alive, mocking their retreat. Hours later, the palace was burning. Smoke curled into the sky, rebel ships circling like vultures. Yet against all odds, Serenia walked into the council chamber once more. Her gown had changed. Instead of battle armor, she now wore ceremonial robes flowing silver and white. Her hair was bound with a crown of crystal. Adrian stood at her side, his arm bandaged but his eyes sharp. He had not agreed to her plan, but he had no choice. The chamber was filled with leaders and nobles summoned in haste. Guards lined the walls, their faces tense. Whispers filled the air as Serenia walked to the center of the hall. One elder hissed, "Why summon us while the city burns?" Another sneered, "Your throne is already lost." Serenia lifted her hand. Her voice was steady, carrying across the chamber. "My throne is not lost. It is about to be secured. Before all of you, before the law of this world, I declare a sacred union. Gasps filled the hall. Adrian's heart pounded. He knew what was coming. Serenia turned toward him, her glowing eyes locking on his. I will take Captain Adrian Cole of Earth as my husband. By our oldest tradition, this binds his people to mine. Rebels who dare to strike will not only face Zeridia, but Earth itself. The chamber erupted. Leaders shouted, guards stumbled in shock. Some cried out in fury. Others fell into fearful silence. Adrian stood frozen. This was the false wedding she had spoken of, a weapon of law and tradition. It was not love. It was survival. But Serenia leaned close, her whisper meant only for him. This is not only politics. If I fail tonight, I die. If you fail me, Earth burns. Stand with me, Adrian, even if it is only a shadow of marriage. He swallowed hard. You don't give me much choice. Her lips curved faintly. Neither of us ever had a choice. The ceremony began quickly, rushed by fear. Priests lit silver flames around the hall, chanting in ancient tongues. Serenia and Adrian stood before the council. Their hands joined. The air was heavy with tension. When the priest raised his staff to seal the vow, a voice thundered through the chamber. Stop this farce. The doors slammed open. Rebel soldiers poured in, and with them, the same dark leader who had hunted them in the catacombs. He raised a projection crystal, and a massive hologram lit up the chamber. It showed fleets of human warships, Earth's secret armada, hidden in the depths of space. Images no alien should have possessed. The rebel leader shouted, You see? Humans are liars. They do not come for peace. They come for conquest. She would bind us to slavery under a human empire. The hall fell into chaos. Elders shouted, guards drew weapons, the flames flickered wildly. Adrian's blood ran cold. Somehow the rebels had stolen the truth, Earth's hidden strength. And now the galaxy believed humans were conquerors. Serenia gripped his hand tightly, whispering, They will turn on us both. If we falter now, all is lost. Adrian raised his head. His voice cut through the uproar. If this is true, he declared, then let me answer with my life. I did not come to enslave. I came to fight for peace, even if I stand alone. For a heartbeat, silence filled the hall. Some eyes softened, others hardened. But then the rebel leader lifted his weapon, pointing it at Serenia. You will not live to finish this lie of a wedding. He fired. The shot burned across the chamber like a streak of fire. Adrian moved without thinking. He pulled Serenia into his arms and rolled across the crystal floor. The blast struck the wall behind them, exploding into shards of glowing stone. The hall erupted into chaos. Guards clashed with rebels, elders shouted, and flames from the ceremonial fires spread across the floor. Adrian rose, his blaster ready. His body shielded Serenia as he faced the rebel leader. You'll have to kill me first, the dark figure sneered. Gladly. Before the rebel could fire again, the hooded guide appeared, striking his staff to the ground. A wave of energy rippled through the chamber, knocking soldiers off balance. For a moment, the tide shifted, but then came the betrayal. One of Serenia's closest advisors, an old counselor named Kaelor, stepped forward. His silver robes gleamed in the firelight, but his eyes betrayed him. With a flick of his hand, he struck a guard aside and joined the rebels. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Serenia's voice trembled with anger. Kaelor, you? After all my trust? The old man smiled coldly. I served your father. I watched this throne rot under weakness. You speak of peace, but what we need is war. The rebels understand this. Humanity will not be our saviors. They will be our chains. Adrian aimed his blaster at Kaelor, fury burning in his chest. But the traitor only laughed. You think your weapon can change the will of a planet? You are just one man, and soon you will be one dead man. Rebel soldiers surged forward again. Adrian fired, dropping 2, but the numbers were overwhelming. The false wedding had collapsed into blood and fire. Serenia gripped Adrian's arm. We must go! Adrian shook his head. If we run, they'll tear you apart. They'll never believe you again. Her voice broke. If I stay, they will kill me. He looked at her, at the fear hidden beneath her strength. In that moment, he made a choice, not as a soldier, not as a diplomat, but as a man. Then I'll get you out. Even if I have to burn this hall down. Together they pushed toward the exit, but rebels blocked their way. Adrian fought fiercely, his human reflexes faster than they expected. Every shot was precise, every move deadly. Still, his body was wearing down. His wounds burned, his breath grew heavy. Serenia summoned her training, striking with a hidden blade she carried beneath her robe. Her moves were elegant, precise. She was no helpless royal, she was a survivor. But then Kaylor's voice rang out again. Seal the doors. Do not let them escape. The massive crystal doors slammed shut. Soldiers closed in like wolves. Adrian cursed under his breath. There was no way out. Then Serenya's eyes darted upward. Above the chamber was a balcony lined with broken banners. If they could reach it, they could escape through the old air ducts. Adrian, she shouted, pointing. He followed her gaze, nodded once, and fired at the balcony supports. The crystal cracked, sending shards crashing down. Smoke and dust filled the hall. In the confusion, he pulled Serenya up the fallen debris, their boots sliding on broken stone. Rebel fire followed them, blasts cutting through the smoke. Adrian shielded Serenya with his body, his armor scorching under the heat. Somehow they made it to the balcony and slipped into the narrow ducts beyond. They crawled through the darkness, the sounds of battle echoing behind them. Adrian's arm throbbed with pain, but he pushed on. Serenya's breath came fast, but she did not falter. Finally, they emerged into an abandoned tower overlooking the burning city. From here, the view was terrifying. Rebel ships filled the skies, flames consumed the palace, and the capital trembled under war. Serenya's eyes glistened. My people, they will never forgive me now. Adrian touched her shoulder, his voice low but firm. They will forgive you if you live. Dead rulers can't save anyone. Her gaze met his. In the glow of the burning city, her face was both fierce and fragile. She whispered, I never thought you would risk so much for me. Adrian gave a faint, tired smile. I never thought I'd be standing in a palace wedding chamber either. For a brief moment, they almost laughed. But the sound of engines overhead cut their breath short. Rebel ships circled closer, scanning the towers. They were being hunted. The hooded guide appeared behind them, his robes torn from battle. His voice was grim. You cannot stay here. The rebels will search every stone until you are dead. Adrian raised his blaster. Then where do we go? The hooded man's glowing eyes flickered. Beneath the palace lies more than the crown blade. There is a passage to the old city, a place even rebels fear to tread. But it is not without danger. Serenya frowned. What danger? The hooded man hesitated. The old city is guarded by machines of your ancestors. They will not know friend from foe. They will only know intruders. Adrian sighed. So either we die here or we dive straight into another death trap. Serenya's hand tightened around his. We don't have another choice. Before they could move, the tower shook violently. A blast from a rebel ship struck its side, tearing through the stone. The floor cracked beneath their feet. The hooded guide shouted, Jump! Adrian grabbed Serenya and leapt into the night as the tower collapsed behind them. They landed hard on the lower rooftops, rolling across broken tiles. Adrian groaned but forced himself up. Serenya clung to him, her face pale but determined. The city around them was burning, the air filled with smoke and screams. Rebel banners hung from towers, their soldiers marching in the streets below. Adrian looked at Serenya, his voice hard. If we go into this old city of yours, we may not come out. Her glowing eyes burned with fire. If we don't, there will be no city left at all. Above them, rebel ships turned, their lights focusing like hunting eyes. The chase was not over. The burning rooftops of Zeridia stretched endlessly. Rebel ships circled above like vultures, their spotlights cutting through smoke and flame. Captain Adrian Cole held Princess Serenya's hand as they raced across shattered tiles, every step echoing like a heartbeat of war. The hooded guide ran ahead, his staff glowing faintly in the dark. His voice was sharp. Down here! The old city lies below. They reached a broken plaza where a massive stone seal marked the ground. The hooded man pressed his palm to the carvings, whispering ancient words. The stone shifted, groaning as it opened to reveal a staircase descending into blackness. Go, he urged. The rebels are nearly upon us. Adrian pushed Serenya forward, then followed, the heavy stone sliding shut above them just as the first rebel ship swept overhead. Darkness swallowed them whole. The tunnels below were colder than death. The air was thick with dust, the walls carved with strange runes that glowed faintly as they walked. Each step echoed like whispers from the past. Adrian's blaster remained ready. His voice was low but steady. What is this place? Serenya's glowing eyes scanned the carvings. The old city, built before my people even had a throne. My father told me it was lost to time. Now it is the only place left to us. The hooded guide walked carefully, It was not lost. It was sealed because what sleeps here should not be awakened lightly. Adrian frowned. You mean those machines you spoke about? The man nodded slowly. Guardians, forged from crystal and steel, bound by codes older than memory. They will see you as intruders, Adrian's jaw tightened. Then we'll deal with them. Like we've dealt with everything else, but Serenia shook her head. Not everything can be defeated by fire, Captain. Sometimes power is not won by strength, but by choice. Her words lingered in the dark like a riddle. They reached a vast chamber where crystal towers rose from the floor like frozen lightning. In the center stood a circular platform, carved with the same crown and blade symbol as before. The hooded man stopped. His glowing eyes dimmed. This is where your path ends, Princess. The crown blade rejected you once. It will not test you again. Instead, the city itself will judge. Before Adrian could ask what he meant, the ground trembled. The crystal towers lit up, glowing with blue fire. From the shadows, giant shapes stirred. Metal guardians stepped forward, their bodies taller than any man, their faces smooth and glowing. Their arms unfolded into blades and cannons, their movements heavy but precise. Adrian cursed under his breath. Of course. The guardians' eyes flared red as their voices boomed in ancient tones. Intruders. Judgment begins, they charged. Adrian fired, his blaster shots sparking against the crystal armor. The machine staggered but did not fall. Their blades slashed, forcing him back. Serenia raised her hands, shouting in her native tongue. But the machines did not stop. Adrian grabbed her arm. Run! They sprinted across the platform, weaving between towering machines. Blades struck the ground behind them, shaking the floor. Energy blasts lit the chamber in bursts of fire. One guardian cornered them, its blade raised high. Adrian raised his blaster, ready to die fighting, but Serenia stepped forward. No, she shouted. I am not your enemy. I am the blood of kings. If there is judgment, let it fall on me. The guardian froze, its glowing eyes scanning her. The chamber fell silent. Slowly, the machines lowered their weapons. Adrian stared in shock. What did you just do? Serenia's voice was steady. I claimed my right. If they are truly guardians of my people, they will test me, not kill me. The largest guardian stepped forward. In its chest, a crystal opened, revealing a pedestal of light. Upon it rested the crown blade, glowing brighter than ever. The guardian's voice thundered one last time. Claim the blade. Prove you are worthy. Serenia's hand trembled as she stepped forward. Adrian's breath caught. This was the moment she reached for the blade. This time when her fingers touched the hilt, the weapon pulsed like a living heart. Energy surged through her arm, spreading across her body. Her eyes flared with brilliant silver light. The guardians knelt as one. Serenia raised the crown blade, its glow filling the chamber like a new dawn. Adrian whispered, You did it, but the hooded guide's voice cut sharply. No, we did nothing. The war above still rages. The rebels will not stop until they see her dead. Adrian turned to Serenia. Then it's time to decide, Princess. Do you fight for your people, or do you surrender to fear? Serenia lifted the blade high. Her voice rang strong. I choose to fight. But not with hate. With unity. My people and yours, Captain, together. Adrian met her gaze. For the first time, he felt something deeper than duty. A bond forged in fire. He nodded slowly. Then I stand with you. Not as a soldier. Not as a pawn. As your partner. Her lips curved into a faint smile. So you accept finally? You'll take me as your wife. Adrian chuckled grimly. If that's what it takes to save two worlds, then yes. But let's survive first. They returned to the surface through the old city's hidden passages. When they emerged, the capital was still burning, but the rebel fleet was locked in sudden chaos. Because above the skies, breaking through hyperspace, came the might of Earth's hidden fleet, hundreds of warships, their cannons glowing, their banners of blue and white shining in the smoke. The rebels froze in terror. Adrian's comm crackled. This is Admiral Reyes of Earth Command. Captain, we followed your signal. What are your orders? Adrian looked at Serenia. She raised the crown blade, its glow reflecting in her eyes. He spoke clearly, his voice carrying both steel and hope. Stand down the rebels. Protect the city. Today humanity does not conquer. We defend. The rebel fleet faltered. Some surrendered. Others fled. The war was broken not by conquest but by unity. As the fires died and the capital began to heal, Adrian stood beside Serenia on the palace steps. Her people bowed, not in fear but in hope. She looked at him, her voice soft but certain. "This is not the end, Captain. This is only the beginning. Together we will change the stars." Adrian nodded, the weight of destiny on his shoulders. "Then let's begin." And above them the sky cleared. Two worlds bound by choice, by courage, and by something far greater than war.